For years, I was very addicted to World of Warcraft, Age of Conan, and Warhammer Online. It completely dominated and owned every aspect of my life. Finally, and luckily, I realized how completely ridiculous it was for me to continue to live like that, and I gave up on MMOs completely, and that's when I started to review games. But that's not the point of this rant. I'm now on Act 3 of the Inferno difficulty setting on Diablo 3, and after something like 80 plus hours of gameplay, I've got some beef with Blizzard on how they handled some things. The concept of grinding is something that I'm not keen on. I don't want to play WoW. What motivates a game developer to put grinding and farming for gear into a game anyway? Games are supposed to be fun, and grinding to me is the absolute opposite of that. What in the human psyche makes gamers want to grind? What's the point? For the chance you might get a better piece of gear that might let your fictional online character progress a little further in a game? Hell, this gear may not even be for the purpose of progressing. Some gamers simply want to have larger statistics for their online persona. It's completely asinine and something I do not support. I hold Dark Souls in high regards, being my game of the year for 2011, and I need to reference it here. Dark Souls is actually a very tough game, that is, until you learn the skill set in which to defeat all the foes, be it by memorizing their attack patterns and locations, or simply learning how to properly avoid and mitigate the damage. Dark Souls is a skill-based game. You could beat the game naked with no weapons if you're skilled enough. Diablo 3, on the other hand, is a gear-based game. Your skill, though I'm sure some of you nerds out there will disagree with me, doesn't matter. Any herp-tard 12-year-old down the street could get their hands on this game and farm or grind out enough gear to trivialize any of the content. I do have the goal to beat Diablo 3 on Inferno just because I like to complete the games I start. To me, that's the actual end of the game though. Upon completion, due to my perceptions on grinding and farming for gear, that will be the end of the game. Killing Diablo on Inferno is the end, and I will no longer feel the need to continue to hunt for better gear to show off the size of my would-be electronic penis. I also don't like the fact that by the time I'm playing the Inferno difficulty, I'm on my 4th playthrough of the game. It's the exact same story, the exact same levels, the exact same everything. Normal and Nightmare difficulties were ridiculously easy, so by the time I got to Hell and Inferno, I was simply burned out. Yeah, I know this is how Diablo games are, but that doesn't mean I have to agree with it. Playing the same content over and over just isn't fun. I also didn't like the fact that I couldn't just start with Inferno difficulty right from the start with monsters that actually scaled their difficulty based off of my level. Much of the discussion on the Diablo 3 forums are in regards to the Inferno difficulty being too hard. One subset of players cries that they simply can't progress, and another subset calls them what the fuck stupid noobs learn to play. Sifting through the incredible amounts of bullshit that is the general forum, I find that I'm somewhere in the middle of the pack. Infernal difficulty is retardedly difficult, but not because it requires skill to beat. It's bad game design because it's a gear check. Just like so many raid encounters in World of Warcraft and various other stupid MMOs. I'm also kind of in the middle of the pack in regards to always-on DRM. Requiring users to log into a server to play a single-player game is also asinine. The thing is, Diablo 3 is not a single-player game. It's a gear-based, grind-your-face-off, waste-of-time multiplayer game, exactly like World of Warcraft. Let's face it, Blizzard's cash cow was losing dedicated players daily, and they needed to find something to continue to fund their piggy banks. Enter the real-world money auction house where you spend real-world dollars to buy gear for your online persona. But Zeitgeist, Blizzard is going to add PvP soon. True, and it's possible that that will give the game some additional longevity. Until, of course, the real money auction house begins to be the only factor in which players win the PvP battles. Paying real money for gear in a gear-based game that, again, does not take a player's skill into account, especially in regards to PvP matches, is completely bogus. Then again, the concept of microtransactions is just something I can't get on board with either. Free games like League of Legends, where microtransactions to purchase additional characters that offer actual additional gameplay elements, I can support. But to spend my hard-earned real-life dollar on something like a new battle axe for my fucking witch doctor is beyond reasoning. These are, of course, just my speculations at this point, though. We don't know what PvP is going to be like, but if it's anything like what I've just described, you can certainly count on my lack of participation. I initially had intentions of reviewing Diablo 3, but if I don't have a review out on the day the game comes out, my videos simply don't get watched. I'm not complaining, though, it's quite understandable. I also don't want to simply rag on Diablo 3. I actually had a lot of fun playing with my friends, and posted a shitload of videos on my second channel, located at youtube.com/ZGR But again, after playing for so long now, I've just made some observations, and I felt they needed discussed.